Okay, I have a bunch of problems related to war. And David, would you tell me when I have about a minute left? Because I got two short ones at the end. This is a problem that people got me to change the last line. So I'm going to read it here. I've read it before. History. Some may not believe the story or even know it, but the Judeo-Christian Bible tells the story that in the beginning of the earth, there were only two people from creation or evolution or whatever, a man and a woman. They had everything they needed: good weather, food, sex, no clothes. And the God spirit nature had only one rule, and they broke it. So it was get dressed, get out, grow food, a labor to live, and that was the real beginning. Supposedly they have two sons, and one decided the other had more and killed him for it, and we're off and running. Since then, we've decided that the others, whoever they are, have prettier women, have more better land, worship the wrong God or of a different color, speak a different language, or a threat for any reason, and might kill us if we don't kill them first. So we try to. We get better at it: rocks, clubs, spears, swords, guns, cannon, planes, bombs, drones. And we get more sophisticated, couching the killing, war to end all wars, war of liberation, a peacekeeping force. Never faced the real problem that since day one, we've been totally fucked up. Are we doomed? Then I wrote at the beginning of a chapbook in 2019, World War II Baby. When I was very young, we were at war. The Germans and the Japs were the bad people to be hated and killed. The Russians were allies that lost more people than we did. The US lost 405,399 people in World War One. I had an uncle come back from the Pacific with malaria, the Agent Orange in World War II. It took 7 years to kill him. Now the Japs are Japanese, and they and the Germans are allies, and the Russians are the bad guys while we're at war undeclared with ISIS, Al Qaeda, and terrorists. In fact, we have been at war hot and cold, always undeclared, at times through surrogates, almost every year since I was born, against communists, imperialists, fascists, terrorists, extremists, just about every list. And we have lost, and I mentioned them all, up to 2019, which was in 1775, the US has lost 1,354,464, of which 507,989 are my lifetime. Will we and the rest of the world ever learn? Probably not while I live. What a shame. My war of anguish. I've been around for a lot of wars. I was born during World War II and grew up rooting for us. The bad guys were trying to kill Americans. The whole country was united. It was okay to drop the atomic bombs in Japan, even if it meant killing millions of civilians. That ended the war and saved American lives. Only later did people begin to question its morality. Korea was the United Nations police action, or so we were told. When President Harry Truman removed an American hero, Douglas MacArthur's commander, he was vilified by all neighbors as a traitor, a communist, or worse. Only later do we understand that the concept of civilian control of the military. Then as Vietnam became a trouble spot, we trusted the actions of Dwight Eisenhower and John F. Kennedy, both American World War II heroes. It was only when Lyndon Johnson began to expand the war that we became suspicious. But we knew people fighting and dying there. It divided the country with close friends coming home wounded and damaged, so it was confusing. Afghanistan wasn't confusing. It was giving harbor to the man who killed 3,000 Americans. But we didn't know we could be there for 20 years. Then Iraq was a mistake, both going on bad information and thinking that the country would be also loving and grateful. But as far as nothing has been like Ukraine, through smartphones and the presence of American television journalists all over Ukraine, we see the horror, devastation, and brutality of the war in real time, shown in a way that Ed Murrow could only tell us about in World War II. I am convinced that up until the United States and Russia both became nuclear powers, we would have sent in the troops and ended the conflict. Now that would take a nuclear World War III, so we just sit and watch in rage and tear and horror. only two more. This was in 2019. Veterans Day statistics. I live in the town of Yorktown, New York. It is a mid-sized Lower Hudson Valley town with a population in 2018 of 36,900. If I multiply that by 1.5, I get 55,250. That's a lot of people. 58,220 Americans were killed in Vietnam, more than 1.5 times the number in my Westchester town. Happy Veterans Day. And finally, something that I wrote yesterday. Why and where? Why, 77 years after Hiroshima, 60 years after the Cuban Missile Crisis, are we faced with a nuclear threat? Where is the humanity, the revulsion at the deaths so far, the horror of the deaths that could come, the Russian Brutus that the whole world needs? Thank you for putting up with my rants today.